This is our fifth lecture in lecture series of sociology. In our last lecture, we discussed about culture. In this lecture, we'll discuss about socialization, social control, and social change. What is socialization? Development of individuals' socio-cultural aspect through the process of gradual learning is socialization. Man is a social animal at birth. An individual is a biological being. At the time of birth, the human infant can neither speak nor walk nor recognize anything. As it grows, it recognizes others and gradually learns to move, walk, and talk. It can learn all these things from fellow beings. His inner self is developed by the socio-cultural environment, such as parents, family, and kinship group. Within this group, the socio-cultural environment that the biological being is transformed into social animal. He is gradually molded into social being and learns social ways of acting and doing things. This process of learning and molding that takes place in a group situation or socio-cultural environment is called socialization. Or, as I told earlier, development of individuals' socio-cultural aspect through the process of gradual learning is called socialization. Socialization is a lifelong process which is comprehensive in nature. It begins at birth and ends in death. It is the process of transformation of the human infant from a biological man into a social individual. It is a process of initiating the newborn into the society. It prepares him to fit in the group and to perform social roles. Socialization makes him responsive to the society. It molds him to the social being and his fulfillment in society. Through this process, individuals come to acquire the quality of sociality. The process by which individual internalizes the roles, values, personality, types and social skills from birth till old age is called socialization. The individuals self-develop through socialization. Through it, individual becomes a social person and develops the personality. The cultural pattern of society or group get internalized in the child through socialization. By socialization, society wants to mold human infant according to its accepted structure. It develops a potential within the individual to live with others. The process of learning by interacting with others is referred to as socialization. This process operated at two levels. First is within the individual and the other from outside. Training and building the personality of child is called socialization. It is a process of learning rules, habits, values of a group to which person belongs, whether it is a family, friend, colleague, or any other group. It is the process by which child slowly become aware of himself or herself as a member of a group and gains knowledge about the culture of society, of family into which he or she is born. Socialization is also considered as passing of culture from one generation to another. During the process of socialization, children learn about their family traditions, from their elders and preserve them and pass them on to the next generation as they grow old. Socialization helps children to learn and perform the different roles and responsibilities which they have learned from their elders. It therefore helps to associate one generation with other. Various authors have defined socialization in various ways. According to Ogburn, socialization is the process by which individual learns to conform to the norms of the group. As per A.W. Green, socialization is the process by which the child acquires a cultural content along with selfhood and personality. Horton and Hunt defined socialization as it is the process whereby one internalizes the norms of his groups so that a distinct self emerges unique to its individual. As per Majumdar, socialization is the process whereby original nature is transformed into human nature and the individual into person. As per Glynn and Glynn, the term socialization means the process by which individual develops into functioning member of the group according to its standards, conforming to its modes, observing its traditions, and adjusting himself to the social situations. E. A. Ross defined socialization as the development of we feeling in associates and their growth in capacity and will to act together. Ross and Glaser defined socialization as the process of learning of beliefs, values, patterns, and social roles of society and culture. Goodale holds that socialization includes all those processes through which individual internalizes social skills, roles, patterns, values, and personality types from childhood till old age. According to Peter Worsley, socialization is simply the transmission of culture, the process whereby humans learn the rules and the practices of social group. Socialization is an aspect of all activity within all human societies. According to Tony Belton, the process by which we acquire the culture of the society into which we are born, the process by which we acquire our social characteristics and learn the way of thought and behavior considered appropriate in our society is called socialization. So we can sum up that socialization is a process of learning group habits, ideals, and norms. The social order is maintained mainly by socialization. But socialization should not be confused with maturation, which refers to a physical and chemical process of the development over which no one has control. But socialization is a lifelong process of learning. There are various elements of socialization. Socialization is a complex process of interaction. Next element is it is a process of learning. A socialization is a process of internalization and reception. It is a process of transformation. It's a lifelong process. Next element is a role of parents. It plays an important role. Physical and psychological heritage of the individual. Experience of individual plays an important role in socialization. the environment in which individual is born. Socialization is a lifelong process. It starts from birth of a child, but direct socialization begins only after the birth of child. Socialization is a learning process by which a newborn baby learns to conform to the norms of the group. Besides being a learning process, it is a process of internalization and reception. It is a process of molding without which society could not exist. It helps in maintaining social order. There are certain things like reflexes, instincts, urges, and capacities which helps or limit the process of socialization. As the process of learning, socialization have four factors such as imitation, suggestion, identification, and language. Imitation means copying action of others. Through it, the child learns social behavior. Hence, imitation is considered as important factor in the process of socialization. As a process, suggestion influences behavior. Through the process of identification, individual becomes sociable. As a medium of social intercourse, language molds personality of an individual. Stages of socialization. There are the stages of socialization. The social and cultural circumstances preceding the birth of the child, but direct socialization begins only after the birth. After birth, individual passes through different stages. During these different stages of his life, individual comes into contact with different people, groups and institutions. During this process of contact at different stages, individual learns many things which helps him. However, these different stages of socialization are first stage is infant socialization or primary socialization. It is the first stage of socialization. After birth, the infant first comes into contact with mother, then father, and then the other members of the family. During infancy, the infant's socio-cultural environment is very limited. Generally, up to the age of 3 or 4, the infant world is limited to the family. Hence, during the infancy stage, family is the main source of socialization. The infant learns to utter word, learn to work, eat, and comes in contact with other family members. Gradually, his self develops. Here he comes to understand the relationship with other members of family. This is the infant or primary socialization stage. In this phase, infant learn language and certain basic behavior forms of the family and society in which he or she lives. It is through primary socialization that foundation for later learning are laid. Understanding of the world and its different phenomena is basic socialization agent. Molding the child is the family. So family plays an important role in socialization of an infant or in primary socialization. Second stage is child socialization or secondary socialization. During this stage, the infant comes in contact with other members outside the family and neighbors. He gradually disassociates himself from the parents and other family members. Then he got admitted to this school and come into contact with schoolmates and teachers, and his behavior is greatly influenced by them up to 15 years. During this stage, the child is also influenced by things what he learns from books, interaction with peers and teachers greatly influences his behavior. So second agent of socialization is school, peer groups. And the first agent of socialization, family. The third stage of socialization is adolescent stage. It is the third stage. During this stage, schoolmates, friends, teachers, sports, books, and means of recreations matters to most of the child. This is the true in case of school-going child. But process of socialization differs in rural and urban and tribal areas. In tribal areas, life is very close to the nature, from where the child learns many things about nature, seasons, folk traditions, etc. In tribal areas, adolescent learns a lot of their living in dormitories and forest. Agent of socialization of these periods differs from the earlier periods. Next is gender socialization. Gender socialization is a process by which different agents of socialization shape the thought of children and make them learn different gender roles. According to WHO, gender refers to the socially constructed characteristics of women and men, such as norms, roles, and relationships between their group of men and women. Gender role refers to social roles assigned to each sex and labeled as masculine or feminine. Next is anticipatory socialization. Anticipatory socialization was introduced by sociologist R.K. Merton. It is a process by which someone is consciously socialized for future occupation, position, and social relationship. Through anticipatory socialization, people are socialized into the group to which they wish to or have to join so that the entry into the group doesn't seem to be very difficult. Parents are the primary source of anticipatory socialization. When it comes to socializing their children for future careers and social roles. Next is resocialization. Resocialization refers to the process of leaving certain behaviors, patterns, and roles in order to adopt new ones as a part of one's evolution in life. Resocialization occurs when there is a major transformation in social role of a person. It occurs throughout their life where individuals experience radical breakthrough from their past experiences and learns new manners and values which are different from what they had learned previously. Example of this could be a girl who is about to get married is often re-socialized by suggestions and advices from the parents on the different matters so that after marriage it is easier for her to adjust in her husband's home or with her in-laws. This is re-socialization. Next is adult socialization. Adult socialization after adolescent stage, the individual reaches at adulthood. An adult is a responsible person and do not depend on other. An adult is associated with some other professions or traits. His circle of friendship increases. During this stage, individual is greatly influenced by his education, occupation, friends, because of a wider circle agents of socialization is also more. This stage is very important as the adult adopts many roles. Socialization is an important matter in society. It should not be left to mere chance, rather, should be managed through institutional channels. So, it is very important to know who socializes individual during different stages of his life. The individual comes into contact with different groups, institutions, and individuals from whom he learns a lot and socializes him. The first agent of socialization is family. Parents, along with family, play an important role in process of socialization. The child first comes into contact with parents and family. They are physically and emotionally close to the child. He learns language and speech from the parents and family. Family teaches him morality. He learns many civic virtues from the family. He learns his first lesson in love, affection, cooperation, self sacrifice, and tolerance from family. Family molds the character, nature, and personality of an individual. An individual is known by his family. Family inculcate right attitude, beliefs, values among the individuals. Family continues to exercise influence on him throughout his life. After family, the second agent which plays an important role in socialization is school. Interaction with classmates, teachers in school is very important in child socialization. And adolescent socialization stage, school plays an important role. School, classmates, friends, sports, books matters a lot much to the child. In the school, the child gets his education and learns many more, which molds his ideas, attitude, personality. Education is very vital in process of socialization. A good school and its healthy atmosphere plays an important role in making a child a good citizen. A well planned school system and a good system of education can produce a good socialized person. Next important agent is peer group. After the family and school, friends and peer group are another important agency of socialization. During different stages of life, an individual comes into contact with different kinds of friends from whom he learns a lot. The relations between the individual and his friend is one of equality and is based on the mutual cooperation and understanding. He learns from them many such things, which he cannot learn from other agencies. It is said that a person is known from the friends he keeps. This shows the importance of friends in one's life. Next is religion. It is another important authoritative agency of socialization. As in the earliest social institution, religion has been influencing human life since long by imparting beliefs and pattern of behavior. Religion plays an important role in life of individual. Religion not only exercise control over individual behavior but also socialize him from the very beginning. Religion socializes individuals as per the norms of society and by inculcating different values. It continues to mold beliefs, values, attitude, personality of individual in society. Religion shapes the idea of individual in society and develops attitude among people and thereby brings social cohesion and social solidarity. Next important agent is state. State is an important agent of socialization. State not only make the laws for the people but also guide their conduct and mold their personality. It forces people to obey laws and gives punishment to those who violate. It socializes individual by prescribing modes of behavior. States has the right to use legal force. State develops its education system and thereby socializes the child. State plays an important role. Now, there are various theories about socialization. Some of the most well known theories in socialization and psychology agrees that the self is the primary concept in development of child, and it is through the process of socialization such development takes place, right? The first theory which we are going to discuss is development of self theory given by George Herbert Mead. American philosopher George Herbert Mead developed his idea about the emergence of sense of self. He emphasized the two-part structure of this self and represented this by the term I and me. This is one of the very important theories of socialization, development of self. He described in detail the whole process of child development and explained how children learn the use of concept I and me. G.H. Mead studied the self of a person's distinct identity that is developed through social interaction. In order to engage in this process of self, an individual has to be able to view him or herself through the eyes of others. That is not the ability that we are born with. Through this socialization, we learn to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and look at the world through their perspective. This assists us in becoming self aware and we look at ourselves from the perspectives of others. I. The I is the immediate response of an individual to others. It is an unpredictable and creative aspect. It is an unpredictable and creative aspect of self. People do not know in advance what the action of the I will be. I is the unsocialized infant, a bundle of spontaneous wants and desires. And I react against me. The me consists of attitude of others that a child adopts and makes his own. Me is the attitude of others that the child adopts and make his own. Thus, when your parents say things like a good child, good behavior, bad child, or bad behavior, such communication from significant others means those who are important for the child, like parents, siblings, teachers, schoolmates, relatives, playmates, become increasingly patterned or organized into the part of the self. that the meat calls the mean. I'm repeating it again. When the significant other says something, say for example, child, good behavior, bad behavior, such communication from the significant other become a pattern or organized into the part of a self, and this self is me. Phases of development of self. Mead believed that there is a specific path of development that all people go through. The first stage is the preparatory stage. The first stage, preparatory stage, lasts from the time we are born until we are about age 2. In this stage, child mimic those around him. During the preparatory stage, children are not only capable of imitation, they have no ability to imagine how others see things. They copy the action of people with whom they regularly interact, such as their mothers, fathers. This is the preparatory stage, imitation, when a child imitates the significant others. And it starts from the birth and still age 2. The second stage of self development is the play stage. From the age 2 to 6, children are in play stage. Children are believed to learn self development and interaction through pretended play in this stage. This stage is critical because the children learns to behave in a certain way through role play when they have had similar experiences such as going to school, going to doctor for medical checkup, or learn more about how the world works. They internalizes the role. Taking activities help children acquire a sense of why we do things and how we do things. So they can eventually develop expectations about the appropriate behaviors as a result of playing of different roles. Mead called this process of taking the roles of other is role taking, or learning what is to be the in the shoes of another person. By practicing the role of others in play, children learn to understand what other expects of them, and they learn how to behave to meet those expectations. As a result of such play, the child becomes cognizant of himself and obtain a picture of himself by assuming the role of others. The third stage is the game stage, which is from about age 7 onwards. The child start taking part in organized games. To learn organized game, one must understand the rules, notion of fairness, and equal participation. Where children begin to attain maturity and develop sense of self and others. Children begin to understand themselves as me by looking at themselves through other people's view and opinion about them. The me is the social self, while I is the response to me, or we can say I comprises of the response of a child to the action of others, while me is the organized set of reaction of others that the child takes on. Another stage of self development occurs around the age of 8 or 9. At this stage, children are able to function as a member of a group and also understand their roles as a member of that group. Mead introduced the concept of generalized other and significant other at this stage. Generalized other can be understood as those rules and values of the culture or particular group in which child is engaged. By understanding the generalized other, the child is able to understand what kind of manners is expected as well as valued in any social setting. Significant other consists of those persons who are of importance in child's life and affect his or her understanding of self along with the child's emotions and behaviors. Mead was the first thinker to understand the role of significant others in development of self. According to him, socialization depends on the child's understanding of others' view as important in his or her life. So Mead has given the concept of me and I, significant other, generalized other through this theory. Next theory of socialization is Charles Hurton Cooley's and Looking Glass Self theory. C.H. Cooley is an American sociologist and given the concept of looking glass self. According to him, children develop the concept of their selves with the help of others around them. He or she forms the idea about oneself based on the opinion of others about him or her. The kind of social self that develops out of imagination, how one appears to other person, and the kind of feelings about oneself can be referred to as looking glass self or reflected self. The knowledge about ourselves develops in us through the opinion and reaction of others around us. The social looking glass self consists of these other people through whom we build an image of ourselves. We build an image of ourselves from the perspective, from the others' perspectives. This knowledge about oneself is the first obtained from the parents and later it is reformed by the judgment of others. The way in which a mirror helps us to form an opinion about ourselves in a similar manner, we try to imagine how another person's mind we might appear through our behavior, manners, and so on. As a result, in our imagination, we form an opinion about ourselves through the other person's perspectives or perceptions and may get positively and negatively affected. According to Cooley, there are three main features make up the idea of self. The first consists of our imagination of how we appear to other person. The second feature is our imagination of judgment that the other person makes by our appearance. And the third feature is some feeling of self importance, shame, or self doubt based on the imagination of other person's judgment about our appearance. So, there are three main features that make up the idea of self, and it is very important. Who has described these three main features? The first feature is our imagination. Our imagination, how we appear to other person. It is very important. We imagine ourselves. Second feature is imagination of judgment of others. What other thinks about us. And the third feature is the feeling of self importance or shame or guilt on the basis of our judgment. Next theory of socialization was given by Sigmund Freud, a psychoanalytic theory, an Australian neurologist and father of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud. believes that socialization demands that individual must do away with their selfish wants for the benefit of the larger society. We discussed it in our earlier lecture also. According to him, socialization is a process that directs one craving and instincts in which or in the way that are culturally accepted by the society. He has explained the process of socialization through three distinguishable parts of personality. These three parts of the personality is id, ego, and superego. Id. It consists of all kinds of basic impulses. It is unconscious, selfish, impulsive, and illogical part of the personality that always tries to increase the feeling of pleasure by avoiding pain. The id tries to make a person work towards achieving the selfish desires by not paying any heed to other individuals or social rules and standards. We can understand it with an example. Say, for example, a child craving for the second helping of the dessert screamed constantly until he or she was given another serving. This is the selfish side of an individual, id. The second is ego. Ego is a referee between id and superego. It tries to maintain a balance between the id, id is basic impulses, and superego. And what is superego? Norms of the society. It tries to balance the two, id and superego. The ego tries to regulate our desires and cravings and helps us to obey the norms of society. As a referee, the ego tries to control our impulses according to the norms of the society. Let us understand it with an example. We often get tempted by the discount offers in the shopping malls and feel like purchasing as much as we can. However, we restrict ourselves to buying just a few products because we realize that buying at once might not be practical thing. This process of adjustment among the id, ego, and superego continues throughout the life. This adjustment process or this adjustment is the principle of socialization. The adjustment between id, ego, and superego is the principal means of socialization. The superego refers to the principal rules and ethics that one learns through the process of socialization. The superego comprises of norms of a society which are internalized through socialization. The superego is the inner voice of an individual. The inner voice hopes, beliefs, and guidelines of society are organized. I hope you understand this theory, psychoanalytic theory, id, ego, and superego. Now we'll discuss about social control. What is social control? All of us are expected to behave in a certain way. The very basic idea behind following certain desired rules is to make a collective social life possible. Community life is possible only in the context of social constraints, as social living demands sacrifice of individuals' interest. In order to function smoothly and efficiently, society makes certain rules and regulations and expects its member to follow those rules and regulations. Conforming or behaving in accordance with the norms of society is referred to as conformity. Behaving according to the norms of society is conformity. In the modern complex society, social order can be achieved by making people to accept and follow certain specified norms of the group. As a result, the means of social control doesn't remain external to the individual but are followed unconsciously to and become the larger part of culture and get transmitted from one generation to another generation, like socialization, which transferred from one generation to another generation. And this is how our social order is maintained. Through social control, we can maintain social order. E. A. Ross, an American sociologist, introduced the concept social control in his book Social Control, published in 1901. He has defined social control as system of devices whereby society brings its member into conformity with accepted standards of behavior. System of devices whereby society brings its members into conformity with the accepted standard of behavior. According to Urban Nimkov, social control refers to the pattern of pressure which society exerts to maintain order and established rules. Types of social control. Uh, Social control can be classified into two major types: formal and informal social control. Formal control is feature of modern urban complex society in which the interaction is mostly impersonal in nature. Formal control is exercised by some institutionalized organizations or associations characterized by formal authority like government, which makes the law and legislation to control. Informal control is mainly exercised by unwritten rules and regulations and uh, agents like folkways, traditions, beliefs, customs, rituals, gossips, public opinion are important. Though no specific punishment is given to a person in case of violation, but informal control is more effective in their influence than even the formal control. That's why we say na log kya kahenge. It matters a lot to us. This is informal control. They are also more effective in primary group like family, where interaction takes place more at personal ground. In informal control, the control is either through internalized value or through feeling of shame or honor. Agencies of social control. There are various agencies of social control. First is control by law. Law is the most powerful instrument of social control in modern urban industrial society, especially. Then, second agent is education, control by education. Education is very significant tool and a mechanism of social control in all forms of society. Third is, in fact, let me describe more about education. Emile Durkheim visualized education as a socialization of younger generation because it is through education by which society passes its heritage from one generation to another generation. Third agent is public opinion, control by public opinion. Public opinion is an important agency of social control. Public opinion simply refers to mass ideas which people expresses on any given issue. Next is control by customs. Custom is basically an informal means of social control. It is exercised mostly unconsciously. We learn them from childhood in our family or what we say in the primary groups in very informal manner. It ensures collective life. They are more influential in traditional society rather than the complex modern society. Next agent is religion, controlled by religion. Religion refers to the faith in some supernatural forces. It is a strong instrument of social control. It is based on the belief that it confirms the man's relationship with God and therefore constitutes a religious code. At this religious code, which becomes significant to control the conduct of human behavior. Next is control by morality. Morality is what make up a person distinguish right conduct from wrong. This is right, this is wrong. This is acceptable, this is not. Right? But the moral order is not universal and varies from society to society. And each society has its own norms and values. Social change. Till now, we discussed about socialization, social control, and now we'll discuss about social change. What is social change? The word change means difference, modification, or replacement in anything over a time period. Social change refers to the observable differences in any social phenomenon over a specific period of time. Social change refers to changes taking place in the society. What is social change? Changes taking place in the society over a period of time. Social change refers to the alteration that occurs in the social structure and social relations. It means variation in any aspect of social process, social pattern, social interaction, or social organization. That is variation in any of the things. Variation in social process, social pattern, interaction, or social organization is social change. There are various approaches to understand the social change. Main, the main approaches are first, evolutionary theories, second, cyclical theories, third is structural, functional, and conflict theories. These are the approaches to understand the social change. Evolutionary theories of changes. According to this, there is a consistent direction of social change in all societies in a similar sequence of stages, from the original to the final stage of development, or from simple to simple and primitive to more complex and advanced state. This theory is classified into two categories. First is classical evolutionary theories, and second is neo evolutionary theories. Classical evolutionary theories have been developed in 19th centuries by anthropologists and sociologists. The main advocates of this classical theory of evolutionary change were Auguste Comte, the father of sociology. We discussed about him in the first lecture. Herbert Spencer, Tyler, Fraser, Morgan, Tonish. According to this theory, evolutionary changes takes place in a unilinear and similar direction. Unilinear and similar direction. They largely draw an analogy of progress of animal life from simple unicelled organism to the most complex animal, the human being. They believe that as a society, they believe that the societies evolve and grow. The function of its member would also become more specialized, just as the development of millions of body cells to perform specific function within interrelated system. Neo-evolutionary theories, the main claims of this theory as that evolution moved simultaneously in two directions in both the biological and cultural aspect. Classical theory states that it is a unidirectional, but according to new evolutionary theories, it moves in two directions, that is, in biological and cultural aspects. This evolutionary process then led the progress and made new ones emerges out of the old ones. These two processes are interconnected in its totality. Second theory is cyclical theory. Some of the eminent contributor includes Kroeber, Sorokin, Toynbee, and Wilfred Pareto. Cyclical theory have been concerned with the repetitious changes of the conditions, events, forms, fashions over a long period of time. Although the period of recurrent phases or the cycle of changes would be varying. The cyclical theorists believe that society passes through a series of stages. However, they do not consider the notion of ending in a stage of performance but see them as a return of the stage where it begins for further round in the cyclical manner. It moves in a cyclical manner, right? Structural, functional, and conflict theories. The structural, functional, and conflict theories are generally concerned with micro and middle range theories of social change. The structural functionalists assume that society, like human body, is balanced system of institution, each of which performs a function in maintaining society. They considered change as a social control, and change constant and requires no explanation. They hold that changes disturbs the equilibrium of society until changes has been integrated into culture. Changes disturbs the society or the equilibrium of the society until changes has not been integrated into the culture. Society accepts and adopts those changes that are found useful or functional, while they reject changes that are useless or dysfunctional. When any culture adopts the changes, that becomes functional, right? The conflict theorists believes that society progresses to higher order when oppressed group improves their conditions of life. They consider that conflict as a constant and necessary factor to bring about social change. They view social change as a result of social conflict, but not a constant. As a conflict continues, so is also the change. Factors of social changes. Social changes can be brought about by various factors such as the biological factor, geographical factor, technological factor, and socio-cultural factors. Technological factors being the agent of social change is almost all periods of history. Recent years have witnessed many startling examples of social changes caused by the technology. WF Ogburn opines that technology changes society by changing our environment, to which we in turn adopt. Technology brings changes by changing people's thought and vision towards their life and universe. It changes our material environment and thereby changes occurring customs and social institution. If you remember, one divided culture into materialistic and non-materialistic environment, right? There are there always exist closer relationship between technology and social organizations. Marx and Engel opine that the use of tools by primitive people led to the change in social organization, which brought further changes in social technology, in turn brings changes in social organization. So in this lecture, we discussed about socialization. What is socialization? We discussed about the social control and social changes, what role social control and social changes plays in this society, and why socialization is important. Right? With this, it finishes our course, an introduction to sociology. In next lecture, we'll start with a new topic with a new course code. That that's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.